All right, if you're a government employee and you've seen your job slashed recently or in fear of your job being slashed, this one is for you. And if you're in the job market, or if you are just on the job, right, and you're not really sure where the economy's headed and what that means for your job, we may have to look at revisiting the job market, how to interview, and making sure the skills that you are using on your job now are transferable either to another job or even another career field. Do we know how to market ourselves? Do we know how to make sure that the skills that we're using every day to thrive are transferable and that we can sell them to another employer? The importance of practicing interviewing, the importance of knowing how to job search, salary negotiations, these things Russell Craigwell Consulting is here to help us with and to tell us about.
Truth.
No chaser.
All right, thanks for joining us again, y'all. So in these times of uncertain times in the economy, in the jobs market, for one reason or another, this may be a time where people are thinking about pivoting and positioning themselves for new opportunities, new career paths, or in the same career path with a new job. What are, some things that we can talk about as far as preparation in that area and readiness considerations, things that they want to keep top of mind if they're in that mindset?
So we talked about this a little bit earlier, and what comes to mind is don't wait until you're in the space of really needing something right now in this moment, but get prepared now, right? And what that looks like is getting out there and applying for roles, seeing what's out there, seeing what skills you have that are transferable, meaning communication skills, right? Being able to delegate, being in various positions will give you a certain set of skills, but you have to be able to say what skills do I have today that no matter where I go, wherever, whether it's government, whether it's engineering, whatever it is, these skills transfer. And so being able to do that, also putting yourself in the position where maybe you go to job fairs, right? Looking on LinkedIn to see what's out there and being able to say, let me go ahead and try and schedule some interviews, apply for jobs, and not putting all your eggs in one basket. And what I mean by that is so many times we will look for a job, we will put our name in the hat, we don't get it, and we are so disappointed that we stop. Right? We stop in our tracks and it's, oh my goodness, I didn't get this opportunity. But reality is you're going to have to pace yourself, and you might have to get 5 no's before you get that 1 yes. And we are in a market today where recruiters do not always get back with you. So you go, you interview, or you apply, right? You might interview, but if they don't get back with you, keep going, right? Don't wait on someone to call you. Instead, continue that process. So that's what I would say. You definitely want to keep top of mind.
One of the things that I always have a question myself on what you said is, transferable skills. If I don't have a license or a certification or a piece of paper that says I can do this thing, what can a transferable skill look like? Some examples.
You want to go? You want me to go with her?
So Tish ran off a couple of them, like communication, whether it's written or verbal. You demonstrate that by the way you respond in writing, by the way you respond when somebody asks you a question. It's also about storytelling. So people in interviews, they typically don't ask you yes or no questions because what you're going to say is yes or no. But if I ask you to tell me about a time, then what I get is the experience. They're looking in your story for, I know I need a particular skill set. By you telling your story, you're going to tell me about whether or not you are computer literate. You're going to tell me about social media. You're going to tell me, I'm going to get a feel for your actual communication style by you telling that story. So it's not, you can write it down and then I'm going to ask you a question about it. So that's why you got to be truthful on your resume. So when you put that thing down and I ask you about it and you don't have a story, you don't have the narrative to go with what you wrote, then you might in fact not have that skill at all.
I've always wondered about that. Tell us about a time where question.
I'm about to say that's unfair because now you ask me to freestyle.
But I'm not.
Because if I know if I have good leadership qualities,
right?
I mean, I know shooting the breeze. I can probably think of some stories that might pop up in my head in common conversation, but on the spot. on the spot,
but if it's about you and you said, like, one of my skills is leadership. So, Frankie, tell me about a time that you helped somebody through a situation. Tell me what your definition of leadership is. Tell me about a time that you were a mentor. Tell me about a time you helped somebody succeed.
Tell me about a time in which you had to manage conflict. Tell me about a time where you didn't see eye to eye with someone or something.
So that's part of the preparation.
Those
you
are
saying.
Yes.
Just have that lined up because you said that you were good at it on your resume.
Right.
Yes.
Well, don't write it down if you can't tell me about it.
Right.
Let's start there. Let's back up. Like, don't write it down. You can't tell me about it. Don't write it down.
Yeah.
Because now you are disingenuous. And if I ask you a question, and there are some questions you might get stumped by, but you put this on here and you said you were good at this. So tell me why. I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just asking you about what you wrote.
And with that, while you're in the market,
I fancy myself a funny cat. Like if somebody said, like, all right, so tell me a joke. I'm like, oh shit. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like I might get stumped.
and going back to Jay's question, you don't need. I think people get so hung up in, I need a specific degree. I need a specific certification to do this job. Do you? And so a lot of companies will look at your years of experience in said capacity over someone that has a certification in something. And I'm going to give you an example. While Nneka and I both have degrees, Nneka has a certification in HR. I don't. Right? And so it's okay. It doesn't mean that, man, Latisha she's not as knowledgeable. That's not the case. Nneka studied, and I didn't take the test and pass it, right? So I personally know that is something that she has. I don't need a degree to do HR. Nneka doesn't need a degree to do HR. It is years of experience, right? That you have been ingrained in this business, and we've worked our way up, and that is why we are where we are today. And so I don't want people to get hung up in degrees, especially if they are impacted by what's going on today. Right. And so it's about what can I do with the skills that I have.
And can I just add to that real quick? I'm not sure if you guys know this. This is not a conversation we have. Latisha and I both have master's degrees. I have a master's in HR, but I originally went to college for computer information. Yeah. My degree is in IT. I did that for 362 days, and I was like, this is not my jam. And now I need to figure out how to talk about myself differently and do something else. I did IS for 1 year, and for the remaining I have done HR. So it's about how can you transition. I took the skill set I had, and I was like, I need to go apply it over here because I cannot do that work. And I haven't done that work since. And so then what I decided to do was enhance that by getting a degree, right? So then I went and foundationally was like, let me back up a little bit because I think I like this thing, and I got another degree. But I was able to talk about my transferable skills.
Absolutely.
I work well with people. I can work with clients, and that's ultimately what HR was about. So it wasn't, I didn't set out talking about, you know what? I'm going to go into human resources.
But
like,
before
people who did that.
Before we leave the degree thing though, right? So let's just talk about general job market. I have a degree.
Okay.
Do those, because a lot of the talk and even politically the rhetoric is, okay, we told a whole generation of people you got to go to college, and we didn't prepare the job force for college degrees. So now we're telling everybody with a college degree, you need to get a trade, right? But if you are hiring, what value does a degree have? I was told once, well, the degree has a value that shows that you can start and complete something, that you have a minimum skill set to be able to do. I can expect these minimum skills out of you, regardless of what your degrees in. Please expound on that and what that really means in the job market nowadays.
Things have shifted, right? What was 20, 30 years ago is not now. And while, yes, we want to tell our children and what for to go to school and get a degree, to Nneka's point, my degree is in telecommunications. Then halfway through, I was like, I think I want to be a mortician. So I'm going to switch up, right? And it wasn't until I went to school and got my master's and was like, okay. Right? Master's, I did organizational development with an emphasis in HR. But I didn't start in that field until after I graduated. And so while, again, yes, it is so valuable to have a college degree. Great. But does that mean you cannot land a great opportunity without it? No. There are people making 6 figures with no college degree. right? And so think about most people that are, not most, a lot, IT, project management, what other like industries that you don't have to have a degree per. HR, you don't have to have a degree per se, right? And so I think that is, yes, how we were raised, and they wanted us to go to college to get a degree, but is it important? No. It is what skills you have gotten along the way.
Okay.
And so, I got to add to that just really quickly.
Go and add to it, because I'm going to add one more question before I don't want to belabor this one, but I have some really pertinent questions for folks. But no, please go ahead.
Okay, so the quick add is, that goes back to what we were talking about a moment ago. So yes, there was this time when people said it showed a level of discipline. It did show that you could start something, you could finish something. But what it did, in theory, was took you to the next level. So when I needed you to write, when I needed you to serve, when I needed you to understand what I just said a minute ago, those basic principles, I could do HR. I was doing it before I got my degree in it, but I went back and I got some baseline information. Technically, I already had it, but in my mind, it helped me. It helped me be stronger. That's just me. There was also probably in the last 10 years, this thought that a master's is the new bachelor's, right? You had the bachelor's, right? You've heard that before, that you had to have all these advanced degrees because so many people had degrees. But if I don't have any of that, what does it take me back to? It takes me back to, tell me about a time when you exhibited leadership capability. Nothing that I went to college for taught me that, right? Nothing that I went to college for taught me how to interact with people who were unprofessional, who might not like me, who didn't come from the same background I did. Life taught me that. And if you can't tell that story, then you might need some education. You might need some formal education because you have an innate inability to tell me about a time. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Can I add one more? Then I'm done.
No,
sorry.
y'all are so articulate.
We have two candidates in front of us. One has a college degree, undergrad, master's. Let's throw in a doctorate. Then we have someone that doesn't have a college degree, right? The person that doesn't have a college degree has been in the industry and can fully articulate the values and what they need in order to perform this said job, right? They've even done the job and they nailed it, right? That interview was amazing. I'm going to pick 9 times out of 10 this person that does not have a degree, but has been ingrained in the business, knows what to do, knows the thing about transferable skills, knows how to get in there, knew how to answer my questions. Maybe not so much for this person that was college educated, right? So it just kind of shows you the difference that it doesn't matter what your degree is in, but if you have the experience, hands-on experience, I'm going to pick you hands down, right? As long as, yes. That's it.
Your motto is, it's not what you did, but it's what you know.
Yeah.
It's not what you know.
Or rather, not what you know, but what you did.
Or what you can show. Not what you know, what you can show. Not what you know, but what can you prove.
Yeah.
Well, then that leads into the next question then, actually, right? Because the next question is resume tips, outdated practices, red flags, and the reason why it leads into the next question is, okay, if I don't have the formal education but I want to get into this industry, like Latisha said, you can do HR without a degree, you can do this, you can do that with these transferable skills. If I want to get into this industry, what is my launching pad then?
Want me to start?
Go for it.
Okay, so now I'm going to be a little contradictory, only because I think there are some spaces and places that are more difficult to do that. I really do.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, I think HR is one of those. Why? Because there are things like people think that people
know what you're about to say.
Yeah. People think that all HR does is hire and fire. I don't fire anybody. I never have. Now, I might have given you the message that you are no longer needed here, but it wasn't my decision. Your actions led to you being separated,
correct?
Right? Typically, I might train a person on how to hire a person, but I've read thousands and thousands and thousands of resumes, but then I've passed them on to a hiring manager and said, here's the 27 people that you should talk to. There are also some things fundamentally, I think I said earlier, I'm not a lawyer, I don't play one on television, but you have to know the legalities of your state, your city, your government in order to function well in an HR space. So I say that to say sometimes that can be a little bit more difficult, but if you can talk me through it and what you've done and how you've interacted with people and the things that you did over here that I can transfer over here, we can talk about it. There are some instances where, you know what, all I need you to be able to do is this, that, and the third. And you can tell me that you can do that, and you can't get that out of a book. There are things that you cannot get out of a book that just tell me about your life skills, right? Tell me how you handle difficult situations. Like Tish mentioned earlier, tell me about a time when you did X. That's why you hear those questions, because I can look and see what you got on a piece of paper, but functionally, how did you apply it? A really good friend of mine said to me the other day, there's smart and there's intelligent. Smart is, right, you got it, you pick it up, but intelligence is your application of what you know. And you might know a whole bunch of stuff, but you can't apply any of it. Therefore, you will just continue to be smart. And you can't tell me the story around how you intend to apply your smarts. So I think you could, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to stop and let Tish comment. I mentioned earlier, what is your inventory? What do you do well? What has somebody told you was an area of opportunity, and what did you do to fix it? Because those are the kind of things people want to see. I want to see growth, right? You have been in the same job. Have you ever been promoted? Somebody told you you had an issue. Did you fix it? You were in a job and you never got promoted. I want you to tell me why, right? You got comfortable. Nobody wants to hear that story. Tell me about what your skills are, because I will give you the opportunity when you don't have a degree, but I know you can come in here and apply your smarts. But if you can't demonstrate that to me, if you can't tell me that, I'm not interested in speaking with you. And you have a moment to get that off your chest. You just do.
Anything to add to that? All right. Good stuff. All right. Next, a little bit more on the resume tips and outdated practices, red flags, things you say, okay, I've seen this before. Let's make sure we stay away from this, folks. You don't want to do that, okay? Like those things. Go for it.
About the photos, can you tell people we don't like that anymore?
We never did.
You never did? Oh, for real?
You ready?
No, go ahead.
So I'm sorry, was the question what's outdated?
Yes.
Well, outdated and red flags, and then also resume tips as well.
Yeah, so I think, those are three very different things, right? Red flags, outdated, and right? Three very
No,
different
they absolutely are.
But,
Absolutely.
But when we think about outdated, I've seen individuals that put pictures on resumes. Why? Right? So think about, we want this polished professional document for employers to review, right? We don't care about what you look like. The other thing that I want you to be mindful of is the minute you put a picture there, we're highlighting who you are, what you look like, and we're not saying anything's going to happen, but the moment you don't get that job, then you're wondering, well, did I not get the job because I'm a bald woman? Right? So those are some of the things that come to mind. The other thing that is outdated are objectives. And so instead of an objective on your resume, right, you want it to be something about your brand statement, right? I am an HR professional with over 20 plus years of service. I function in, these are my core competencies, right? Leadership, communication, talent and development, whatever those things are. So you want to list out some of those things that are truly core competencies. Stop putting your full address on a resume. Just put your city and zip if you want to do so, right? Those are things that we don't want to see on your resume. We don't want to see nicknames on your resume, right?
I need to update my resume immediately.
We don't want to see nicknames on your resume. And the other thing that I would say that is so outdated is stop putting references available upon request. That is outdated. If we want references, we'll ask, right? But don't put it on your resume. And then the last thing that I'm going to say, I know I said that was the last thing, right?
Wait, I'm sorry. Don't put references upon.
At the end when you say references available.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was unaware of people that did that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then the very last thing that I'm going to say is maybe you are a woman that is 50 years old, right? And you switch jobs every 2 years from the time you were 17 to now 50, and you have listed all of of the jobs, and now your resume is 5 pages long. We are not going to read beyond maybe 2 or 3 pages. And so what you want to do instead is you list out, my philosophy is anything over that 10-year mark, you want to just summarize it at the bottom, right? And whatever that company is, its company name from this date to this date, and just summarize, right? And then after a while, you just leave them off. So those are the things that I would consider as outdated things on your resume.
Can I just say this, because it's not outdated, but Latisha mentioned something. I don't want to lead. I need society to know that there are different types of resumes.
There are, right?
There is chronological. There is functional. There's another one. What is it?
Functional, chronological.
There's like 3.
Yeah.
And we can't think of them right now. But chronological, typically you can use that when you're a little bit younger. You're working your way up to your 10 years. So tell me the things that you did, right? Most recent to last, because you haven't quite gotten to your 2 pages. When you're, if what Tish described is happening with you and your joint is 5 pages because you had all these jobs, you need a functional resume. Here's the brand statement. Here's my achievements, so people can get a summary of you. And if your resume is more than 2 pages, take it out right now and start redlining it, because nobody is reading that. Nobody.
I go by the 1-page rule.
There you go.
It's got to fit on 1 page.
I think we have a difference of opinion when it comes to that, and that's okay.
Go ahead.
I don't, right? I've been in the market for some time, and so my resume is not 1 page, and it will never be 1 page ever again, right? It's not a book, but what I want you to see are truly the things that I've done, the work that I do, and you won't be able to see that in one page. And so everyone is different, but don't think that it has to be 1 page, right? They won't read it if it goes beyond, if it's 2 pages.
And can I just say this? I'm trying not to say something after everything that Latisha says.
Go for it.
But the other thing is, and this is just the reality of people and their time, you're getting a glance. And the
Absolutely.
glance is either going to be, I'm going to take a closer look, or it's going to be, I'm not going to look at all. And so if I look at your resume and it's for a particular position and it's 1 page, I'm going to be like, you don't have enough experience. I haven't read sentence to first, but you just don't have enough pages. So there is a happy medium, and that is very prejudicial on the part of people, but it's going to look to me like, especially if I said, I need 10 years experience, and you have that on 1 page, it's going to initially read like, yeah, you don't have enough experience, glance, and I'm on to the next one.
What if that 10 years experience came on 1 job though?
That's fine.
Is
Is that the only job you ever had?
Oh, I see. It goes back to what have you done?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
And if you're younger, and
I like
younger
the way you brought
people,
that back around.
younger people have a tendency to, their education is at the top of their resume. So I know you just got out. You see what I'm saying? And because we've been doing this for a while, if your education is at the top of your resume, I know you're young.
Yes.
Because that still means something.
That should
to
be
you,
at the bottom.
right? For me, it's not that my education doesn't mean something, but I graduated in the late 1900s. So I now have experience since the 1900s, right? So I don't need my education at the top of my resume. Their GPA is up there.
Yeah.
So now if you have a half a page, I'm like, bet, I get it. You just graduated.
I'm gonna just tuck my whole resume in.
And the last thing that I'll mention to this, because Nneka just said it, if you have a 1.5 GPA,
Don't put that on your
don't
resume.
put it on your resume. You just never know, right?
Latisha, let's put that under the category of outdated practices.
Right? So
But your suggestion is don't put the GPA at all, even if it's 4.0.
That's my suggestion.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
What if you graduated with honors?
Doesn't matter.
Then at the end of your thing, you could put cum laude, summa cum laude,
Yeah, you can do
whatever.
that,
I don't
but
need
it
a
doesn't
GPA.
matter.
No, seriously. I used to ask students, because I used to do talks at colleges, like, why did you put your GPA on there? Because they told us to. Okay, I'm going to ask you to stop.
Yeah.
Immediately. You graduated or you didn't. And seriously, if your joint, like if you weren't the valedictorian or the salutatorian, then when you graduate, You just went into this pool of people who also have this education.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the reality of it. When you're in your college or university and you were number one, guess what? If you were in the top 10 in your graduating high school class, then you got to college, guess what you got dumped into? A big ass space with a whole bunch of top 10s in there, right? Yeah. So now it does. I know it does.
It sounds like if you ain't nobody special.
No, I'm not saying that. But cool, I'm trying to give you the reality of it. Because then when you had a 3.5, so did 1.2 million other graduates. Right? So what else about you is making you stand out? What is your skills inventory? And we can talk about that, because that's the thing that you need to be trying to market. I am not downplaying that you were number one. I'm not. I was number 10 or 11 in my class, right? I knew I was smart.
That makes sense.
But guess what? When I went to my little HBCU, it was a bunch of valedictorians running around. So how does my 10 look to your 1 and your school has 700 kids and mine didn't? Right? I'm like number 400 in your class. Yeah. So I'm not special in that way anymore. And that's what happens when you graduate and your resume is up against the likes of everybody else that applied for this job. Yeah. And the same goes for adults with experience. How are you standing out? And if you thought putting your picture on your resume was the answer, ...
Now, if I can add one quick thing, and this is more personal, right? Like, really, because I want to speak to the person that is struggling with maybe finding a job and they feel like, man, but I don't have good grades, and what type of job can I get? I was on average a C or D student in high school, right? On average. College, I was average, maybe a C. But it wasn't until I went to grad school where I was like, man, I've got to shift. But it wasn't because I wasn't smart, but you never know someone's life circumstances, right? And where they've come from as to why maybe their grades just were not an indicator of how smart or how intelligent one was, right? And so I don't want someone to get discouraged because maybe they didn't go to this large university, or maybe they didn't have a 3.5 or 4.0 GPA, but knowing that it is all about how you show up and represent yourself. It is about the skills that you got, and it's about your grind. And let me be honest, right? Sometimes I hate the word, but I'm going to use it now. It is about you being able to get up there and pick yourself back up, even in those moments that you've gotten no. And so too many times people, especially, our young generation, are like, oh my goodness, I didn't get this job and I don't know what to do. Even adults, pick yourself back up and do it again.
Resilience.
Yes.
Amen. Amen. I love it. That's a good word. All right. Now, gotten how we relaunch ourselves. We've gotten how we prepare ourselves for pivot. When we're looking for a job, lots of places to look for them. What is some really good ways to say, okay, I'm throwing myself out there. Job fairs were popular when we were coming out of college. Are those still useful, or are they a waste of time? And if not, if they are useful, what are some other useful sources to direct your energy for job hunting?
So I think it depends on the type of job and or industry. I'm a fan of LinkedIn. I find jobs on LinkedIn day in and day out, right? And so that is the go-to. There is Indeed. So many people are on Indeed today, but it just depends on the industry that you are in. Are job fairs still a thing? They are, but it just depends, right? Where I am at my stage, I wouldn't do a job fair, but I would if my job was impacted and I needed to practice. I got to say that again, right? I need to practice interviewing. I need to know what's out there. I need to know who my competition is, right? And so in those cases, no matter what level you're at, I would absolutely still use job fairs for that. Nneka?
I agree with what Latisha said. It's really good practice. You see your competition in real time. You see what's out there. And if you're going to make a pivot in an industry that you've never been in before, it's good to get out and have a conversation with people. People talk all day long at job fairs. They ask you questions. What type of opportunity are you looking for? And you need to be able to articulate that. You need the ability to articulate that. So I think it's good practice. I don't go to them. I stopped some time ago, and I did other things. Latisha mentioned LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, and I will oftentimes recommend that people register with like a oh my gosh, I just lost it. The job placement, like staffing companies, so that they can do some of the work for you, depending upon the type of work that you're trying to do. So,
and the last thing that I'll mention is there is power, right, if financials allow for you, in conferences. I mean, you are able to rub shoulders with people that are sitting in conferences that are hiring, right? They are decision makers in their organizations. And so don't discount looking up organizations that specialize in certain, areas that you're in, right? And then going to those and being able to network. Now, don't go and just sit there and be quiet, right? You got to go and introduce yourself. And so there's power in attending those events as well.
Excellent. Those were great information, great tips for everyone in the job market, looking to pivot, preparing themselves for new opportunities, stepping into the job market. A lot of misconceptions and outdated. I think that's a huge thing. I know it is for me, and oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed.
Have I not looked at your resume before?
You have not, and you will not now. You will not. Yeah, but we did not talk about the resume.
Coming up on stuff, but okay. I want to see it.
We just no.
I need you to send it to me. We'll talk about it off the air.
Yeah.
We'll just build a new one from scratch.
Right.
I want to see it, though.
You got to see it in order to build that new one, right? Because it tells the story.
You're about to embarrass me.
It tells a bad story now.
I want to see it. I'll be looking for it. Don't make me text you.
Okay.
Carry on.
All right. Now, resources for all of the subject matters we've discovered. Not that you have to go through each subject matter, but the one, if you can say one or two resources, either together or each of you, that says, listen, guys, I highly recommend you tap into this resource for your plight. What some of those or any one of those resources be for each of you together?
It's a good question. I can't truly think of like resources, but the thing that I will say is, again, there is power in LinkedIn, social media when used in a good way, right? And just introducing yourself, getting out there, meeting people that are in spaces that you might want to be in, right? And so that's when I think about resources. It's not, let me give you this piece of paper and these are the things that you need to do. It's not about that. It is positioning yourself and putting yourself in places and in front of people that will elevate you so that you can then get to where you want to be or desire to be.
So I'm going to do two. I'm going to kick it old school on one. I think that for as long as it's around in this climate, Department of Labor, because they will have information. They'll have free information and resources because everybody can't afford to, get a TaskRabbit and update their resume. So when you're trying to tap into a resource that's there, it's got longevity, look at the Department of Labor. They'll have job listings, and they will also have like courses and sessions that you could participate in to polish up your resume, look at your skill set overall. So don't underestimate the power of the Department of Labor. And that may be for a very, very specific group of people, right? The other one is I have seen a number of churches. So look at the churches in your area that are hosting job fairs. So we just talked about job fairs. It depends on your level, but they are also mixing that with maybe it's time for you to be an entrepreneur. So they're offering like entrepreneurial type resources. So check those two. And I don't think you can go wrong on LinkedIn. And I think I said already about a staffing agency or two that you might want to register with, something that's nearby. Just keep in mind the type of jobs that those places offer and what you're actually going after. So those are the ones that I would say.
Think about the folks that might not be able to afford, TaskRabbit or someone to do your resume. I'm going to keep saying the power. There is power in AI.
Facts.
And so this is what I want people to do, right? For some folks that just simply don't have the finances to have someone do their resume. I want you to do this. Go to LinkedIn, put in the job search, a job that you might be looking for, right? That might be similar to something that you can and have done. Then I want you to take your current resume, update it to at least speak to what your most recent role is. And I want you to upload both of them in ChatGPT because you can upload, right? Then I want you to give it the prompt of, here's a sample resume with the different skills that I have. This is the type of job that I am looking for. This is my current resume with my updated, most recent role. Please blend the two together and create me a resume.
Write a resume using this data.
And then look at it. Please make sure it's accurate. Don't just go out in these streets, right, and be like, here's my resume. But it gives you at least a framework to start from. So do not underestimate the power of AI.
Yeah, I know ChatGPT can be like a little redundant at times. So like that's good. That's good when we said proofread it. Yeah.
If you train it though.
Yes, you have to train it. You have to know. You can't just like, here's my resume, do it for me. You've got to train it and tell it what you want it to, and keep doing iterations.
Have you ever seen those commercials where people are talking to their phone like they're talking to a person?
Yeah.
That's how you train AI.
Yeah, I use it every day.
There you go. So that's what people should do when it comes to, like, you know who I am because I've been asking you these questions. I've been getting advice from you. Blend these two things together, with the prompts that Latisha just mentioned. You know how it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Start using AI. I've never used it before.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I need to start.
And once you've used it a lot and you train it, it's spooky.
All right. So thank you all for joining us, everyone. Russell Craigwell Consulting, specializing in HR. Obviously, as you've heard, we've talked about how to distinguish yourself and preparation and pivoting into the new job world and market for yourself, how to market yourself, tips and tricks for your resume, some outdated practices, some definite no-nos, and where to find the best resources for uses of your time in job searching. And I like what Latisha said there. It really depends on the job and the industry. So it's not a blanket one for that one. Really quickly, you all gave some great information, and it is quite clear that you are a wonderful resource both for individuals and companies. Please give your contact information to where someone could find you.
We can be reached at info@russellcraigwell.com. RUSSELLCRAIGWELL or russellcraigwell.com.
Awesome. There you have it. So, Frank, you got anything to add before we close up out?
Absolutely not. No, they said a mouthful. I was gonna go into the social media thing, but we'll talk about that next time.
Keep your social media clean.
Yeah, keep it right. I wanted you to say that, but thank you for leaving it
Keep
there.
it clean.
All right.
It speaks to your brand. People don't think that. It speaks to your brand, though.
Awesome.
Absolutely. We thank you both for coming on our show again and sharing our wealth with not just the youth, because like you said, you got 50-year-olds out there with resumes that might need to polish it up, But again, just thank you guys for stopping by. Always a pleasure. And
all right. As we stated before, if you're watching the visual version of this podcast on YouTube, please find this podcast wherever you find your favorite audio podcast. For those who are listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure you hit that little link in there in the Truth No Chaser section that says support the show. That will help us continue to bring quality production and quality guests to deliver dynamic information to help change your life. Also, now, if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast already, please go to youtube.com/The Truth No Chaser and watch the visual version of this podcast, but also please hit subscribe. Thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep walking in your truth, Black people.
yes, sir.